Remember that the frontier of the rebellion is everywhere, and even the smallest act of insurrection pushes our lines forward. And then remember this. The Imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks. It leaks. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear. Remember that.
Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in. In this video I want to go over my thoughts for Andor, the latest Lucasfilm project and what is turning out to be the most expensive. I also want to go over the cast and crew that will be part of the show. I believe they don't get enough credit on these types of videos. Many channels focus on the plot of the show itself, but I'm really interested in finding out who puts in the work behind the scenes and perhaps what we can expect from this new season. In this video I want to go over the release schedule, budgets compared to other Star Wars content, the writers and directors attached to the project, and I will also be covering some spoilers later as I dive into more of the plot and expectations for Season 2, so I will let you know when that will be coming up later in the video in case you haven't seen the first season, in which case, go, do that right now.
Go!
But don't go yet, because if you're interested, I will cover some interesting topics about the production first. Getting into it, I want to go over the release schedule. This is particularly unique in that the first 3 episodes will be releasing all at once on April 22nd. This seems to be a brand new formula that Disney is trying out, and I haven't seen this from other streaming platforms, which usually put out 1 episode per week, if not the entire season all at once. So it looks like we'll be getting the first 3 episodes on April 22nd, episodes 4, 5, and 6 on April 29th, episodes 7, 8, and 9 on May 6th, and episodes 10, 11, and 12 on May 13th. So why is this the plan that Lucasfilm and Disney are doing? Recent polling has shown that younger viewers greatly prefer the binge model versus weekly episode drops. It makes sense as a whole generation grew up with the model Netflix created. Fans can binge several episodes and Disney Plus can still stretch out the experience for longer than a weekend. Now I will say that having each episode broken up like this isn't my favorite format for Star Wars content. I still very much prefer these grand theatrical releases that are part of a saga, but that could just be my nostalgia talking. I fully believe Obi-Wan should have been a movie as it was originally intended to be. From what I know, Disney stepped in and had Lucasfilm change the format to a show because of streaming and what was popular at the time. There were so many rough closing minutes of those episodes that you can just tell it wasn't meant to be edited for streaming. So anyways, Andor was meant to be a show all along, and this first season was absolutely spectacular. When you have this many plots and characters running parallel to each other, I fully support this story as a show, and I'm glad to be getting 3 hours of new Star Wars content each week. It's fantastic. I am all in on the show, and I think it's really going to be amazing. So how much did this all cost? It's been a hot topic as of late. Lucasfilm and Disney spent roughly $290 million on this season. Season 2 accounted for $290 million in production costs, exceeding the $275 million budget of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. This places Andor among the most expensive Star Wars productions based in the UK. Production of Season 2 faced delays due to industry strikes. Filming began in November 2022, but paused mid-2023 during the SAG-AFTRA strike. It resumed in January 2024 and concluded in February. The $290 million budget excludes post-2023 expenses, so the final cost is likely higher. Andor benefited from the UK's tax rebate program, receiving $129 million in reimbursements. So that brings the grand total of this show to $645 million between both seasons. This was widely controversial given Lucasfilm's lackluster returns on its recent productions. Now, I think Skeleton Crew was some of the best Star Wars that we've gotten alongside Andor, but the viewership just isn't there. These are smaller stories that are part of a much bigger world, and it's hard for a franchise like this to narrow its focus down to the minutia of an entire galaxy, especially when we know how the stories end. Marvel is also having the same problem. It's difficult to bring the focus back down when you've expanded the world so rapidly and opened up endless possibilities for stories, many of which may not appeal to the average viewer. That doesn't mean I don't think these stories should be told, but it raises the question of if these stories and their limited viewership justifies these massive budgets. Food for thought. Now, back to the fun stuff because the financial damage has already been done for the show, so why not enjoy it and look at what is to come. Obviously, Lucasfilm and Disney laid massive stake in this show working out, and after the critical success of the first season, Season 2 has a lot to live up to. That, of course, is being led by some very great writers and directors. Tony Gilroy is one of the original screenwriters of Rogue One, ushering the pivotal character of Cassian Andor into the Star Wars universe. He is one of the main writers for the Jason Bourne films along with Armageddon. Beau Willimon is the creator of House of Cards. I really only know the show to be a political drama, which does fit Andor very well. He wrote 3 episodes of the first season and is now back to write 4 through 6. Dan Gilroy is writing episodes 7 through 9 and is the brother of Tony Gilroy, and he wrote movies like Nightcrawler, Kong Skull Island, Real Steel, and The Bourne Legacy. Tom Bissell is credited for writing the last 3 episodes, 10 through 12. He has previously written various books for several video games and is apparently a massive Star Wars fan, so it's good to have extra expertise in the writer's room. Just to note, while these are official credits per episode, the writers likely all contributed to each episode with Tony Gilroy at the helm. We do have a new slate of directors, and I've seen differing accounts over which episodes they'll be directing, but this seems to be the largest consensus. Ariel Kleiman will direct episodes 1 through 6. He is from Australia and is known for his first feature film, Partisan. Janis Metz is from Poland. He will direct 7 through 9. The one thing that stands out to me is that he was a director of an episode of True Detective. Otherwise, his work seems to be mostly in foreign cinema and documentaries, which perhaps gives a unique approach to his directing style. Alonso Ruiz Palacios from Mexico is doing episodes 10 through 12. He seems to be very highly regarded with good ratings across the board. Another notable member I want to point out is the costume designer Michael Wilkinson, who Tony Gilroy has been crediting a lot for making the show really work. Gilroy says that Wilkinson is the connective tissue and will be severely disappointed if Michael Wilkinson does not get recognized for the show. As we can see from Wilkinson's website, he's done a wide variety of shows and movies, ranging from Aladdin, Tron, Wonder Woman, and the Justice League, Batman, and Superman movies. Wilkinson also did work on season 1 of Andor, so we can expect the same level of quality and expertise, which is very exciting. So that will be the key creatives behind Andor season 2, some new faces from season 1, but an entirely new slate of directors, which should bring some interesting perspectives given each of their film history, which is really cool to see. So now I'm going to dive into the show itself, take us to where we left off, and give my thoughts for season 2. Of course, spoilers ahead, so go on.
Go!
I haven't seen the show in a hot minute. It's been about 2.5 years since the first season due to the writer's strikes halting production in 2023, so I will quickly go through our characters again and refresh our memory. We have Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna, Luthen Rael, played by Stellan Skarsgård, you know, this guy from Dune, Mon Mothma, played by Genevieve O'Reilly, Bix Colleen, played by Adria Arjona, Aunt Petunia, Marva Andor, played by Fiona Shaw. She died at the end of season 1, but there could be chances for flashbacks. Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker. Saw Gerrera is very well known in the animated shows. He's one of the more radical members of the rebellion, but we love Saw Gerrera. Dedra Meero, played by Denise Goh, an overly ambitious member of the high-ranking Imperial Security Bureau. Director Orson Krennic, played by Ben Mendelsohn. K2SO is returning in season 2, played by Alan Tudyk, which only reminds me of his terrible death in Rogue One, and I get sad.
Goodbye.
Kino Loy, played by Andy Serkis, who can't swim.
Can't swim. What? What did he say? Can't swim.
Also makes me very sad. At the end of season 1, we left off with Cassian deciding to join Luthen and the rebellion. This comes after the death of his mother and the riots that broke out during her funeral. He previously escaped an Empire prison, where he met Kino Loy, who helped organize the prison break in some of the best TV writing ever.
Can't swim.
Andor is now fully dedicated to the rebellion, acting as a spy and special agent. I expect we will see him carry out a few missions with Luthen and Mon Mothma. The recent promotions for this film look great. From the trailers and posters, we see K2SO and Cassian will meet. There will be scenes at what looks like Lothal, but I'm not 100% sure. And it looks like Cassian will take on a new look as a more refined and polished politician, which will be neat to see him take on different personas throughout the season. For season 2, we will get a glimpse into crucial events that led to a full, organized rebellion. Up to this moment, we have seen small skirmishes and sparks of a flame that are quickly and quietly stomped out by the ISB and Dedra's initiatives. So I expect we will see Dedra take on a larger role and narrow down her targets, potentially getting too close to the rebellion with Saw Gerrera and Luthen, that she may not survive to the end of the show. We also know that director Krennic is coming back from Rogue One to finish his work on the Death Star. This would be a really great opportunity to see more of Krennic's business deals and power that he is building within the galaxy. This also ties into Admiral Thrawn, who plays an opposite advisor to the Emperor. Thrawn appeared in Ahsoka, so I can see a potential tie-in, however I don't think it would be necessary, and it would likely be saved for Ahsoka Season 2, with that release date likely late 2026. and The Mandalorian and Grogu slated for May 22nd, 2026 in theaters. Anyways, as for possible tie-ins and cameos, I can see characters from Rebels pop up, possibly the entire crew of the Ghost. We've now seen all of them in live action besides Kanan Jarrus, which might be interesting to see if they introduce his character in the show. I think Emperor Palpatine will be hardly mentioned, if at all, and I do not expect Darth Vader to show up to keep his reveal in Rogue One as cool as possible. For the casual fan, this may not be such a big deal, and I would argue that it ultimately may detract from the story, and we know that Tony Gilroy is adamant that Andor is story first and does not want to lean too far into fan service. So as we approach April 22nd, there will likely be more trailers and interviews coming out, which should be very interesting. Let me know what you think about Andor and the direction that Tony Gilroy and Lucasfilm are taking. Do you think Andor will live up to its $645 million budget, and could this set a precedent for Star Wars moving forward, seeing as this is the most critically liked amongst their recent projects? Let me know in the comments what I can cover next. Like and subscribe. I would love to be posting twice a week, probably a short video on Monday and a longer deep dive on Thursdays. So I will see you then. Thank you. Bye.